Alright, now even seen Dinsu, Gomia, Niela, Nanganzu, Sosa Tipja, Jehovah Sosa Tipja said that Sosa Tipja Chedi, Yala Dunyukone, that Sosa Tipja Chedi, and the Sik Dorduchi, Duen, Chasan Sanwach, and Digorma Jehovah said that in it, Nanganzu Odinma, Shuchine, Dundala, Garshubari, and the Kasanjum. And you get a toss of you, Chassi, you the Chasava, the Shuru, Chasava. It's not that Chassi, you de lang, and you can some Dangorelamna, the you de la, and a chicken, and you and Zemlingi, Sashitipa, do Janda Yambai, do bottom by day, do really get into ya, and the chicken, San Yigi, Shingham, and Janda Yamba, do that Janda Yamba Yuba. Then they sang di kola and Jajusima Bodo, Meba Shu Bisi, then they you chas you did in Samda, and then the Kuno de Simjatam Judo San Yoko to Bishi, Kuno Jajusim Kunelangua, Kuno, then that young to get Charles Gabla, and then Lu gonna call some Dangoresana, Ludia, and Nanzuki. Do Jana and be Lupato, Meva Yubash Samda, you Samda. Then some no you gonna some Karatang was in it, they negate that the she do Jana and be Tidalia, Shingam, Titing, and it's Sanketa, T college, and just some bottom of Tisum Yukusun, Tisa Yukusun to Yende, and Jake Jam Nije Chaju Sem, and they passion to get Yamling, Yende Pa, Jenche, and then do she and Jambe Tone. That's you going to Denigi, because you going to Denigi, Debatia. Then you bought me, but then you going to Lubado, Meba, and tuition, then they are and goes on to you and then did a logic. Yadin Tobarsho, and some dancing to Chatsegores, as Casan to do that Dordina, Casan, you going to chat with the EU going to chat with it, or do Shivaroda.
Good morning. So we started last night to look at the chapter on the meditation session, and the first topic of meditation will be how to relying on the spiritual teacher. Where we are in the text, though, is before one engages in the actual meditation, that of relying on the teacher, one engages in 6 preparations for that actual meditation session. And at the end of our session last week, we looked at the first 4, of which included the generation of refuge and bodhicitta. With that in mind, then one visualizes the merit fields, and then one starts with the process of accumulation and purification, which is to prepare the mind so that genuine paths can be generated within. So last night then, we started to look at this 5th preparation, which is that of accumulation and preparation, and it's presented in accordance with the 7 limb practice. So we started to look at the first of the 7 limbs, that of prostrations. So when one engages in prostrations, we saw first there was a verse where one prostrates in a condensed manner with body, speech and mind, and thereafter the prostrations are expanded on with first physical, then mental, and finally verbal. So when one engages in physical prostrations, when one is engaging in prostration, one is doing so to innumerable Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And when one engages in physical prostrations, the specific feature of that practice is one visualizes innumerable bodies of oneself making prostrations to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Then in mental prostrations, there the meditation is that these innumerable Buddhas and Bodhisattvas before one imagines that on every atom there is a Buddha surrounded by countless Bodhisattvas, all within the pure land of that Buddha. And it's to them that one is going to make prostrations, but one also there reflects on emptiness. So this in brief is what we looked at last night.
And the ratio did not have you going to chat it and get your my share what that some done.
Now we'll continue with verbal prostrations, which in the printed book is the top of page 47, and in the handout in the middle, page 52.
Yang Jubaos and dear young Duba in la, di Yanlatin, Yanlani Gude, Jeos, and Yatsoni Mambitzikos.
Verbal prostration is set forth in the stanza. I extol the good qualities of all the Buddhas. I praise all the Sugatas with the sounds of an ocean of songs, in voices of inexhaustible seas of praise. From each of the bodies emanate innumerable heads, and from each of the heads again innumerable tongues, singing inexhaustible praises of the objects, excellent qualities to sweet melodies. Here songs are praises, and their voices, that is their causes, are the tongues. The word ocean conveys a great quantity.
That inigi Duba Puyaki, Chikche, Dela, Deda Ngaba Misse, Jasonam, Yanyala Jaso, Dragunji, Jawa Kunji, and the Rabjuji, Dewa Shapatam Jetaki, Duse, Chikchi Dida, Nagone Chase, Gidi, Sumudua.
As I mentioned as a translator last night in the Tibetan, it's just the first half or the first line of each verse. The verse itself is not in the Lamrim. So Geshe now just recited the verse in its entirety as we have it in the book.
That in Deda Ngaba Misse, Jasonam Sengaba Sedi, Nagone, Dungaya, Shuetel Ngaba Siguro, Ngaba Sin Dubek, Dunga Puyedel Sungurua. The nigger puye did Missy just Misseba said them. That's Sangi, you couldn't do your Yende, or the Misseba, Zoe Medigan. Sangi Kusun Yende bottom about Gate Yenden Jovena, Zoe Medigan, then Misseba, Zoe Medic, Misseba, Jaso Nashin, Jachimoshu, Sangi Yenden bottom member somewhere that I just Sangi Yende, Gate Jovena, just high Medigan, Yende, Jaso bottle Mebadi, and Pa, and D. Chugis or did an upper carriage now, Ning about Chugila, Chorola Didu, sing about your Dirwada, Tizang about Chugis, the cutting up what Cadis Chugilana, and then Sanji and then bottom meba, Jugi Milan, but so I met it in the Jasonashi, this would do switch in a tie, Jugin and about Chugis or just that the Napa Missy Jasonam said.
Looking at the verse, the first line in the Tibetan is our final line, in voices of inexhaustible seas of praise. So just before I go on with Geshe's explanation of that line, I'll just read the literal translation of the Tibetan so you can see how often the translation may differ. So it says literally, so this is the fourth line in English, the first in Tibetan. Those praise inexhaustible oceans, so plural for oceans, that's all. So then the translator needs to make it into something, and hence we have in voices of inexhaustible seas of praise. So that's a little different from Geshe's explanation, which I'll come to now. So those refers to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, then they are being praised, or we are praising them, and inexhaustible refers to their inexhaustible good qualities, the excellent qualities of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. These are inexhaustible in number. And to emphasize the inexhaustible number of qualities, the imagery of oceans is used, or we have seas. So what we have here as inexhaustible seas refers to the inexhaustible qualities, the innumerable qualities of the Buddhas, and that is what is being praised.
Yunten, Yunde, Coron Yunden Dido, Coron Yunden Dido, Coron Yunden Diso, and the Shesam Diroa, I Coron Bed Gisia was she does, and Coron Shabria, what how do, Coron Dia, how do Lamna Diroa, then Korean Dijan Sangelia, Sayin, now by Misseva, the Sanyu Yunden, Jasunashin, Bado, Meba Dinity do Spa, and Jima. Nagipa Jugi is or Napas, Kuranga Jugi is, Jesatanga Jugi, Sangi, Jujal Masona Carelana, Sangi, Yunde Bottomebadi, Yende Jujadis water. That is soon that Ganis Napa Jugurs and Napa Judan, the Ganis Jugurs and Yagi and Lajas or Dragonis, young said, Yagi and Lajas or Dragonis, Yala said, young said, Signimbu, Dang Bursha. Shell was on the Dangin Buddha, the young Silva, the young, the Nga Jadi, Janin Buddha, the young chair. Yala said that Janin Buddha said, Judy Masona. Carazon was on the Judy Yala said, Jeda, Gain, Yipa, the Dinma, and Jadjungo, what's a Yala said, Yala, J, Gain, Jela, Jeda, Gainla, Dene, and then a Dangin Buddha, Yala, Yasu, Bottom ever trap. Gunchip in Yende Yasumabadia, and Tadu, Snibuya, Daje, and that's a Jew Jedan Genla Dene, and a Della Dene, and Janibu, Dajing, our Chugins order, as a Yala Yasu Dragon Yi. Yala said, Julia Wore, you. As a Janibu child, you girl didn't was in a Jedan Genla didn't go. Jeda Jimena, Daju Marwa, Jezadi, Yala said, Yala, you. C'est the Chinese Buddha, Jadi, Judicarel, and a Jedi, Jella, Dene, and a Chinese Buddha, and a Jugins or in the chat Dushin Yambotaje, or Dushin Jugins order.
For us, the fourth line in English, this presents those or what is being praised, and what is being praised is the ocean of inexhaustible qualities of the Buddhas. That is what is being praised. And then the second line in the Tibetan, our third line, with the sounds of an ocean of songs. So, it would be really difficult to translate into English, but what we have here is the word for sounds. This is literally branches or limbs, so as in 7-limb prayer, or branches of practice. But what it refers to is the cause, and we see this later in the commentary, that the cause of the praise is the physical tongue. So, with tongues of an ocean with tongues of an ocean of songs would be more literal. So this, so the main point here is that fourth line for us is expressing what is being praised. And then how so? With the cause being one's tongues of an ocean of songs.
There's dedicated Jasunashi, Jasu Dragunjis, and Jasunashi, the bottom meba like Rova. Says that bottom meba Kadashigris and there's a Lula, the Shi Anzu Lu Chazi, Lujukan, Chazi, Lu Java, Lu bottom of a Jujova. Build the Lu Gore Yorova. Superior Correa, go bottom of a Yodura. Go bottom of a Yubi Correa and Che bottom of a Yobas true sometime. Then a che bottom of a Yoba something Tashi, they didn't drop bottom of a Ligua. This and this or Yana Jasu, Jakunjis, Yana said they can't give. Go bottom about Correa, Yana, and then answer Tajun Yagi, you, and Yana che bottom about you. Che bottom about you. This is bottom of a Jasuna, bottom of a Yana. Jasunashi. Denigi Jasuna Jushin, Tene and Jakun Jati, young Nimbu Jati Paduan, the young Nimbu in the Paduan, and all Dushin, Donga, Pugi Insi or Wada.
When in the previous verse, one had already imagined one having innumerable bodies, and with which one offers physical prostration. Here, in this verse, we call to mind that those innumerable bodies, of course, have heads, and each head has a tongue, and the tongue is the cause for the songs of praise that are offered here. So here we remind ourselves of these oceans of, so the word ocean, it shows vastness, vast and expansive. So we had in the previous line that we have it as seas. This refers to the qualities, the vastness of the qualities of the Buddha. Here in this line, it shows the vastness of the tongues within the heads, within the innumerable bodies that are offering praises to the good qualities of Buddhas.
안주 미지 모드면은 미지리아 제지 모드면 안주기 지게 셰라 담베네 만테 푸베네 자직 모드 돼요 말와 세상 안주 미망고 념도 소지 미자승 안주 다도 미종어 주로 되는 념 소지 념도 만테 푸베데 미리리 제리리 요로와다 미리리 되어도 된 자망고 차고도와 얘네 베네 당님볼 지게 당님부 제 안에 지게 좀 만제 부여도 당님부 제 미망고 소된 자망고 제 봐도 당님부 제 민년에 지 야고 휴지 셈을 초화를 잡고 예도아 언디네 베네 셰 데네로와 디나시 디나시오리아 다야 최고 피디갑이야 안 소수기 도시네 매바 삼나리아 류바도 매바 여바서 류바도 매바 류레레 고바도 매바 삼다 고레레 제바도 매바 삼다 데네게 삼다 제 차상 되어도 데네다 되비게 자디 되어도 잔념부 되어도 자배 야침보나 야침부슈 지게 온거야지 두신 표현도 되네 선은 바도 매바 사이다 바 표현이 바도 매바 표현이 내려바비 제보디야 바도 매바 연구로와 그래서 선은 바도 매바 사이다 된다라 두신의 송고로와다
Here what we are calling to mind when we reminding ourselves of what we have already imagined of us being in innumerable bodies with therefore innumerable heads and innumerable tongues and offering these beautiful songs of praise, or rather than the word songs, Geshe has in the past described it, it really refers to there being a chant with melody. So one could rather say melodious praise. And one is offering so as part of a large community, one's entire, this vastness of one's imagined emanations, offering melodious praises. And we can liken that to if one on one's own is offering a mandala, this is just one voice offering a mandala. But if one is part of a large choir and offering a mandala, then it is done so much more forcefully, having so many more tongues making this offering.
dushi tena duye jada nyembege sangye di ane kora chanshu sem pado meba deda kunji yuende se da konzu yuende da kuyu yuende sungu yuende tuyu yuende dene she du shine yuende ne jue che rab jue shin dewar shaba tamche dagi du se de dene gi yuende jue dewar shaba se na sangye dan di kor tamche le di kor chanshu sem tamche le ya ane du shine dewo phugi yin se war da jingyi gi dan da 개워 군나로 와다 개워 상계된 디코를 전주선 바 탐지기 세우다니까
The third line in the Tibetan is our first line. I extol the good qualities of all the Buddhas. Here we should include with Buddhas, bodhisattvas as well. The Tibetan literally is Buddhas and plural. But Geshe says this includes the bodhisattvas, and this then is made is expressed again in the fourth line in the Tibetan. I praise all the Sugatas, and here we should also with Sugatas include the bodhisattvas who are in the retinue of all these innumerable Buddhas that one is visualizing before them. So one praises their qualities of their expressed through their physical activities, the qualities expressed through their vocal activities, and their qualities of their mind. So those qualities of the Buddhas and bodhisattvas one here extols or praises.
And that's to Dumdeore, Dune Shibena, Dirwada Ranzuke, Tangagone, Chopudi Kaplia, and Sosuki, Gopato Meba Samta, Gorille, Jepato Meba Yuba Samta, and Dinigi and Dang Yimbu Geshe, and the Gasore, Sanye, Sanye Dan Jeju Sembadishi, Joe, you said up Yurwa, and Chike Duje and Sanye Jadan Yamba, Sanye Singam, Baudomeba, D. Rele, Sanye, D. Korjan Semba Yuba, on the Sugi and then. 原来的怕决呢，当年不当些都是呢，对吧普约些，没法去想，所以的这个准备搞了，都是中国的也是我的。
There's to understand this offering of a verbal offering of praise and prostration. This is quite straightforward. One's adding in the addition to these innumerable bodies of oneself that one has visualized, the awareness that they have heads and tongues, and all of them together in harmony, acting like a choir, are offering praise to the inconceivable qualities of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, all these Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that are imagined before one. So that, in brief, is this practice.
那开始学办那些的另外有什么的，当然这个的恰参与个不啦，那上当堂的中国话的，开始那敌人学吧的，那恰参与个了，开始上当国的，上当帮啊这的，甚至他这这的电把的，甚至他们中国的超过度。 甚至你电话的电把的动画找不到，你自己电上你甚至他们这个上学过帮去透过都马上他们都是透过自己这边的讲究甚至什大，但讲究甚至过年浪钱，安电上他定家也恰配也什大就个呢，说是个锻炼啊，那这个对长大年吧，第一，那第一长大年吧，第一对长大年吧，第对这个点对啊，那。 上级新看长来的报道没有，就这样的你要把些，你按结果新人呀，按上级第一块了呀，讲是什么报道没把，属于我什么属于三百个的，都现在没把些，说是什么呢？今年些没把些，今年没把些呢，三六国呢，1国呢。 按这是个古松土松有原点的个，这样子的了，对吧？这些都就是点点个，这代表个原点的呀，我家的那个土坡小上边个都是呢，361个呢，3最大。那一个呢，3大的当然这个恰切的个不啦，那恰切的个不啦，那绿包都没法追，那绿包都没法追些，绿热个包都没法追些，那绿的。 我给准备个不啦？这绿热来用，过包都没把，这包都没把，这吃3个2个月是被，吃3个2个月是被没把这，按绿包都没把这个吃7个月是被给的，都选7个月是被，都选3大节，那这个菜的了，它绿啊艺术也吃菜上给他，多那人不的吃用了，多少呢？
Offering of verbal prostration. This process is very similar to what we looked at last night. In fact, it should be clear how these all blend into each other, build on each other. So first, one develops the motivation that the determination that I myself will guide each and every mother being to attain or develop within themselves a state that is completely freed of all suffering. So this is the generation of bodhicitta. And with that as one's motivation then, one visualizes or imagines before one innumerable Buddhas on every atom. And on each atom, each Buddha is abiding in their own pure land, surrounded by uncountable bodhisattvas. One recalls then their incredible and innumerable excellent qualities relating to their physical behavior, their speech, and their mind. And then one imagines, that's what one imagines before one, and then what one imagines around oneself is oneself in uncountable bodies with heads and tongues. And these are the bodies that offer prostration, but also they offer physical prostration, but also offer verbal prostration. So in this way, one engages in the act of prostration with one's body, speech, and mind.
the can zala Nanzule Supuchik Mado Yamara, Kochik Mado Yamara, Chechik Mado Yamara, Meva Chilia, then the Yovachi, Uchi, something the cans out the go bottom of you then the quarterly Chimangu, then that means you were a Zewas came, then you ask Kayamar was. You have Guinea Meva Chila, sometimes the church came in us and be dances or
It's quite possible when hearing about a practice like this, one may think, but why should we do it like this? This is not in accordance with reality. I know I only have one body, and now I have to imagine myself with innumerable bodies and all with heads and tongues doing this practice. This seems a little strange.
Chesandi duwe nuwe me barda denisi tuyang tuyegi nubadi dadeng samtang gore dushine samtang samlo gyutone jangbaina and maobana azuge denike samlo yage chinje du samlo tone jangje samlo ya nubada dingezin tembuchi letuwena letudu dene lübatme jutuba da jutuya da denike sanje batme jetuya yungore dade Chisa dine ki lu pao to me pa mangpa ne dine ki yongyadi dadene samlo tanda samlu tone jangdura cheche dhruku khore daga samlu tone jang dine dhruku khore samlo tanda dhukshin jangbayi na mangpa dine ki dhrubyagi dhrutu khore daga yungore.
So whilst this is the case for us right now, this will not always be the case. Through engaging in the cultivation of the varying stages of the path, generating these paths within oneself, through the power of one's single-pointed concentration, later one will be able to generate emanations. And as one develops along the paths ever further, one will have so many emanations that they will be accurately called uncountable. So whilst this is not our current reality, this will become our reality. So here we are generating an aspiration and a recognition of what actually is possible.
Kangpa dinde kyagu sun kangpa gui suabdal ma sona chasanji samlo nalya kangpa ji pa suyo kukurita. Di kangpa de ma suyo ne jema kangpa ngu subdi ganti suyo na haku tuyo ma. Tangpo kangpa ma suyo nye liya samlo nalya chasanji samlo digi kangpa suabdal kangpa gyubja kara kuyo ma chasan samlo nalya kurupche. Dinde samlo nalya kangpa chasan suyo chago kore. 이내 다 강보도 여러 배선 원이 줘요 말아요. 이내 삼문나로 차선 줘 차례다. 다 쇠찬에 삼문당 되니 쇠찬에 당보 삼문나래 되니시 강보 되니시 쇠버 쇠긴 셈비기 차상 마선 되니기 입을 마선 차상 여바디 삼문나로 차상 여바 줍차지 여바지. 되니 쇠네 강보디 삼문나 여바 나신 직비지기 안 쇠 두고 얼어와. 삼문나래 되니시 코면에 쇠도 가네스는 하고 그거 말아. 진짜 중자를 삼는 뒤로와. 안디레 채월 삼다나 대상은 저기 베네 지금 취식에 내가래게 로버트나 지르기도 와. 뒤쳐서 당보네 삼무기네마다 소요 말아. 당보 삼무당 거라. 삼무당 미삼 되니시 되니 진짜라 되니 지고 섬 되니게 삼무당에 삼무나 줍차지 되니 삼무나 샤르드바 나신치 수고르와 쇠는 주고르와 제가 당보 삼무당 삼민나데 두치는 삼다제 되니 삼다도 삼무당 마투겐디게 쇠두고 말다 가지래 삼무당 투겐디게 쇠두고라 삼무당 마투겐디게 쇠두고 말와 제가 차상의 쇠두고 디 나시제 제가 마음바나 나주 류바도 메바 주야다 제바도 메바 되니게 상예바도 메바 제제 최보푸야디 다도는 삼무나래 장소제 두치는 장유도는 가슴질이야 근데 지금 삼리기 니베 덮기바 뭐 공패도 되도 안 되니 줍투바지 뭐소 원내지 용투야지 용구 있어라다.
So to emphasize the purpose of practicing in this way, we can take some illustrations from our own lived experience and see how actually we do practice in our daily life in this way, or live in our daily life in this way. So let's take an illustration of someone who's wanting to build a particular house. Before they build anything, they have an aspiration to build that house. Then they develop a vision of precisely what they want to build. Based on this vision, they will have a determination to gather together all the causes that are required, which will bring about the construction of their home. Without such a vision, nothing would have come about. But with such a clear vision, one achieves exactly what one set out to do. And likewise, in our world, during our lifetime, we have seen so many inventions, things which never existed in our world before, and now suddenly they do. So for us, when we come across these and we perceive them or hear about them for the first time, they are completely new. But for them to have been brought into existence in our world, someone had to give rise to an aspiration and then a vision. And due to the strength of that vision, they strove to gather all the causes and create something that had never been perceived before. So too, with us developing our own spiritual qualities, qualities that we are yet to attain across the streams of lifetimes, this can come about. And by having a clear vision, this will come about.
삼주되는 두구여바디 세보를 하고 도야시도와 아주게 때 중전에 아주 냠녀 여바라 삼다베니 아주 동게 넘뷰자 마라 가르가르 튕겨메다 칭아네 가르가르 튕겨메데 소소게 삼로 손라리도 소소 삼로 따당게 토네 동게 넘뷰자 마라 세투도와 지사 삼로 메나 동네 삼로 마다네 동 수부디 파지고 샤시네 다마라 차 규어콘 레요 말바 지사디 삼로 디기 동기 넘규디야 라마라 수도와 제자다 되는 수요베나 넘규 직 매바 직이야 삼노다데 넘규 현다직 수투고베네 되는 넘규 삼노다에 토네 수 매바 직레 수 현다직레 투야 차기도와 삼노다에 사 당보 동 나고면 매신에 매바데 배 잠도 거버네 콩로스게데 동베 마오보당 지현나서 차지어와 디 매바 직레 삼노규 규바다에 토네 동디 되는 수투도와 안 디나진 잠베 삼로저나 콩로서는 잠베 삼는 동량 김스데 베직 미티기 캔자를 통해 차지어로 받아 제사디 삼류토는 삼로다데 삼류고 유화다지 직소용도 하다 디나신 단 삼로다지 삼류고 토는 아주 뉴버데 스마서나 띵이지 뉴버 토어도 디네 삼로토는 류바도메 버투 투에데 류치기 맛메네 이즈에도 숨세다 디네 용투야데 다 예바지 제 용사를 받아가지고 두치네 삼당기도 리비기 봐 제바 삼다바 제바이나
When we hear about emanations, this may again sound really bizarre because it's something quite far from our own lived experience. But a way to approach starting to understand this is really through coming to recognize the incredible power of the mind. So recall times when you really haven't been happy, perhaps you've been ill, or perhaps you've been angry. Whoever meets you will see that. Before you say anything, they'll read that in your body that you're not in a good mood, you're not in a good place right now. But we also know, through your training in meditation, when such minds arise like that, one can counteract them, ease one's mental anguish, and when one does so, one's mind becomes transformed and peaceful. When others encounter you, they'll perceive your same body very differently, because they'll see, now you're in a good mood, now you're approachable. So there we see, in our own lived experience, how our mind has a direct impact on our body. And as our mind develops to a degree that we in this life have not experienced, that of powerful concentration, through the power of the mind, one can then emanate one's own body.
저기 두시네 장주sem곰 냠렌제 딘치 딩에 쟁곰 두시디 장주sem바 파파 사당보세데 토용되가라 데네 두시지래야 두시지나 karma chik nanglo le dusi chik le lu gyatama chutu gure se lu gyatama chutu gure se jisnada jinhigi roya na penanga hanzuma gyagolo ma sona gyagap gyana shin chil rotu gure se jinhigi rotu ye gi nubata lu chutu ye nuba jisa lu gyatama chuyo du lu re la ko re yorwada ko re gi shi shi jisa lu gyatama gi ma gi shi yorwada jisa lu gyatama chu lu gyatama gi chu ne lu gyatama chu di koran zu che she songsa gi semje mongolia che she jo jisa gyatama gi che song she songorwa jisa di chugen mi ji rwa mi ji gi gyatama chu be de che song jide semje bao me ba la mi ji gi song so de gyatama che song de gyatama che so de kapche wa cha rwa jisa di nyamle gi dingi ji nuba ge be so ne samle gi dingi ji nube to ne chu gorwa jisa ngā zu le dādi diyo ma re, jizā dēndi kē samla dāchē ngā zu yu dūchin samla jāngdur jīgī jīgī ngā zu liya nūpa dī le tuyā jī chā korwa. Dēndi kē zāda ngā zu dūchin samla dā jāngdur chē kore sē di, jizā di yōngyā mōngwa ba nē, dēndi yōngyā kī tō le ya, ngā zu dādi nī dūchin chē kō pīrī kāli dūchin mēba chē, dāngbō ngā zu mēba chē jāngdur chē kore sō re.
When a bodhisattva directly realizes emptiness, and gains the path of meditation, and then the path of seeing, and the first ground, the first bodhisattva ground. They can, in that moment, emanate 100 bodies. These 100 bodies can go to 100 different places. And these bodies are, of course, completely formed. They have heads, they have tongues, and therefore they can each engage in teaching the Dharma. So there you have 100 bodies teaching the Dharma. And this comes about through the cultivation or the transformation of the mind. Comes about through the power of the mind, in particular the mind of concentration. Therefore, I say this to emphasize the importance to transform one's mind. And here, in this fifth preparation, we are preparing our mind through accumulation and confession. Accumulation and purification. We are preparing our mind to radically transform it, to generate paths within.
하고야게 두시는 삼다 김전체네 내 용사라와서 비 김전 이시로시 용하게 제바제 김전 삼다는 이시로 용하시로와 나 제바로 김전 삼마다네 이때때 대저 다 쉬매겨라서 부부 삼는 민요만 하시리 샤삼베게스 대시로와
Here are presented some reasons to explain why the practice is constructed in this way. So I encourage you to think about these and settle them within yourself, maybe come up with further reasons from your own side. And this is important to do. Because it's very easy to read something like this and think, oh, this is for childish, this is for intellectually unsophisticated people, this is something from another culture, I can ignore it, it doesn't apply. But when one understands the reasons behind something, then trust or belief in that will grow, and one will practice in a way that will bring benefits. So therefore, here as everywhere, to think for yourself, to use your own intelligence and to analyze, this is important to do. Great benefit comes from this.
yu jesa sang ye da chan ju san ba tham ji gi yu ge yuan den de ye se mi she ba se de ga zhe ju na zuo ai me de gen de ne ge se mi she ba na ba da da yu re re la yang se da so so ge lu re re la go ba de me ba dang go re re la yang jie ba de me ba zhui ne da nian bei yang ji jue ba wo se de ji duan da de du xin ba de me ba zhui de ne ba ci bei nian ji wo ji nian bei jue ba se ba gyo ya de le de sung wo re ji le 세미시 조야 균이메 되지. 조야 균이메 되게. 아 지금 상业的就是原点的技术了。
So looking at the first line in Lama Tsongkhapa's commentary, or the first sentence, from each of the bodies emanate innumerable heads, and from each of the heads again innumerable tongues, singing inexhaustible praises of the object's excellent qualities to sweet melodies. So the Tibetans start with inexhaustible praises of the object's excellent qualities. So the inexhaustible relates to the excellent qualities. So this was mentioned above in terms of the verse. So the inexhaustible isn't the inexhaustible number of praises, but the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, the objects, their excellent qualities are inexhaustible, and to them praises are offered. And then the Tibetan continues with from each of the bodies emanate innumerable heads, and from each of the heads again innumerable tongues. Yeah, I think I should read it that far. Yeah.
那这呢，那养呢，这些养鸡养辣椒说照顾你是这个自己的对待修的，养些的个人故事呢，对吧的也是，对吧是把对吧这个这类养修的也是，的养辣呢，有的结果是的养辣些的，你养天给的接的故事，接的那故事也是，养辣是接的，假说呢蒙不吃过，假说来的被蒙不了故事也是。
The second sentence, here songs refers to praises, so that's in in English the third line, and their voices, so that's in our fourth line, those are the causes or the tongues. So that was the word mentioned before, that is actually normally as limb or as branch, or perhaps division, and that here actually refers to the causes of the praises being offered, and that is the tongues. And as mentioned, the word ocean conveys a great quantity.
那的恰恰话这些，恰恰话虚假，但的嘛，那全部普遍的时候，那全部恰恰话全部普遍的，那的嘛，这个嘞，那全部普遍的嘞，拉那预备全部写的，拉那没备全部写的，拉那预备全部写的，俺这个必须大约的全部普遍的，拉那预备全部就全部也接的了。拉那没别去吧，是俺最几天看来，这没这个地里开跑的跑吧，因为那讲是什么跑吧的，就是个龙泉个原来的个拉那没别个配个去不的了，拉那没别去吧就，拉那越南没啥的，拉那越吧是的，俺这个去不的，拉那越吧的是，拉那越吧了呢，地刚了也就有的是的。拉那有把了呢，拉那是拉现在刚嘛是个了，拉那有把了的，俺就普一个区别这的嘞，也个就有的别是呢有的那个，所以有的真讲是怎么跑的就是有的是个，其实但俺就普一区普一个，这个区普一这的也学的嘛的是个的，拉那没比拉那有比去把了有的，俺就的学的嘛的，俺就里的也个忙不了的是个的，其实的区别，其实俺这个几天也看，俺这个的龙就普通说吧。普一个区别接的了，普一个区别接的，拉那有把的嘞，你学的嘛嘞，你普一个区别的了，那拉那有别区别了个，但这里呀，这个地里也个没得看个区别接的个了哇，地普一个接的了，普一区别的拉那没别区别是个的，就是那俺是的拉那有别区别的，拉那没别区别是，你到哪路地里？现在讲就是要跑吧，是吧？讲就是被跑比给的这个在普遍个确保普遍去了吧，就是让那没被确保去了。
That concludes then the presentation of the first of the seven limb practice, that of prostration. Then we come to that of offering, the second one. So offering, as we see in the text, as for the limb of offering, surpassable offerings. So we see here surpassable, and over the page will be unsurpassable offerings. So the difference between the two is surpassable clearly states there is something that surpasses it because it is surpassable. There is something better. So these are the kind of offerings that we as ordinary beings can make. And we know even amongst ordinary beings, what we have access to, the kind of offerings we make, there are other things in this world which are far greater than what we have access to. We have our limitations even within the world. But then unsurpassable, what that refers to is beyond the capacity of ordinary beings to offer in this manner. It refers to how bodhisattvas can make offerings, both ordinary and Arya bodhisattvas. They are the ones who can make unsurpassable offerings. And unsurpassable offerings are offerings that cannot be, there are no greater offerings than what is unsurpassable. Whereas for ourselves, we limit it to surpassable offerings.
지사 라마 세디 초도 규바 약쇼데 레거로 퇴쇼를 안주게 라마 세디 약쇼데 지사 당하는 지다는 가지게 돼 먼저 라마레도 소소레 야가림 진짜 라마스 레거로 어디 지나신 라마스 지사 라나 메바시도 다 약쇼디스 라나 메바 상기의 연된되게 다 라나 메베 연데 상기 캠바디게 라나 메베 캠바디게 다 상기 장슈 셈바다 나 장슈 셈바다 지수 캠바디게 라나 메바데 말에 약쇼데 말에 다 라나 유에 메세데 약쇼데 라나 메발레고 디 강래 야가 메바데 라나 메발레 라나 세 토와 메바세로다 라나 메바 딜레 토와 요 말이라도 딜레 야가지 요 말이래고 진짜 라나 예발레 딜레 토와지 요레세 고고로 진짜 딜레 약쇼도 말에 딜레 야가 요레세 고고로 진짜 장슈 셈비게 연된디게 라나 메베 연된데 말에 라나 예베 연데 디강라 연데 수요레서 딜레 야가 수요레 상게레 요레 상기 규기 투기 캠베 이시디게다 라나 메바디레 딜레 야가지 캠바 야가지 메르와 어두시네 연데레 집에네 라나 예비 연데 라나 메비 연데사다 당한 저기 초부의 제레 삼다면 라나 예비 약쇼다 약쇼마인 바세다 근데 지금 도시가 저기 네 디르와다 데네기 지금 연데레 안제레 가리네 지금 도시 집에네다 가실 라나 유메세 라나 메발라도 약쇼디서 디강레야 요마레서레 라나 유발라도 디강레야 야 요레디 약쇼도 말에서 고도나 인부 고야 디스 체고 고고래.
These terms, surpassable and unsurpassable, are used in varying contexts, but the meaning is quite clear. If something is unsurpassable, there is nothing that surpasses it. It is supreme. Whereas surpassable, this perhaps is the best that can be hoped for right now, but there is something better. So in terms of, for example, qualities, the qualities of ordinary beings are really pale in comparison to the qualities of bodhisattvas. And those of Arya bodhisattvas are significantly greater than those of ordinary bodhisattvas. But all these qualities of ordinary beings, bodhisattvas and Arya bodhisattvas, are all surpassable. The qualities of a Buddha, they are unsurpassable. But in terms of making offerings, what one offers, there is the distinction between surpassable and unsurpassable is a bit different. Those offerings that can be made by ordinary beings are all surpassable. Even those perhaps the wealthiest amongst us, their offerings too are surpassable, because the offerings of the bodhisattvas surpass that of ordinary beings. But the offerings of bodhisattvas is truly unsurpassable.
Lana Yobada, Lana Mebase, Yundel Pa, the Mun 60 Pejita, Yundel Pa Pejitan Gor Yunde, Lana Yobada, Lana Mebasi, Jisa Dinajima, Shandala Pejitana, or Kala Shimbu, Lana Mebas Resha Lavenda, that Kala Shimbu, Dela Shimbu Shima Yomara says the Goya Chegro. That means Kala Lana maybe Shimbura Remedus, Lana Yoba Reshas, Lana Yubi Shimba, Shimbu Sheshalan, the Kala Shimbu Sharat, Oz, Shimburesha, the Dile Shimshu the Remen Sadi Guru, that the naked patient, sick patient number, and the immunity patient go Martina, Tangan to stamp and all Kala Shimbulana, Meba Sheshalanda, that Kala Shimshu, Dile Shima, Kala Shima Yomara says Guru.
So when joking around, one can use these terms in a variety of contexts. Eating delicious food and you want to praise the host and tell them how wonderful their meal is, one can call it unsurpassable. And that's quite clear. Whereas maybe one's own cooking can be a bit disappointing, and that would be surpassable. You've had better and you hope that you will once again have better. But where it's generally used is in relation either to offerings, as here, or in terms of excellent qualities amongst beings.
that is what the Sikdelaya, Lana Yubi Chubani, Medo Damba Sheso, Sixi Ni Des, Medo Dambani, Naladang, Mi Medo, Medu Chubi, Silma Namsos, Chawani, Medo Naso Bene, Juba Des, Deniga, Wedan, Jema, Tamjedo, Silieni, Rumo, Gujala Sobe, Jawo, Denegi, that Jubani, and Bue Jishin Big, Deku, then Duni, Do Namju Choho, Adibat Roshan. Ninama, 6 years in Yola, Ben Medo Damba, Chawa Damba, Silian Namda Chuba, Duchoda, Marme Choda, Dube Damba, Yavadal and Chuba, he said, Dinma, 6 years Marme Dane, Buela, Loba, the Jim, Jimla, Vesawa, Rimbochi, Vesawa, Dubani, Dubu, Jawada, Najiba, Naza Dambani, Ungugi, Chogo, Jichoni, Dosum the Jinge Davi, Juke, Chula Soba, Chema Pubani, Bue, Shimbi, Chema, Dorshin, Dukdu, Rumvik, Tumbur Jabam, Gilkorgi, Jibi, Twin, Chepi, Jimba, Jada, Ngam, Jibla, Nyamba, Guebani, Gueba, Goma Kunji, Gunsang, Jovala, De, Pabada, and Jebada, Nasobola Jawas, on the Badoshan. I did that. Yavadal and Cheberti said the Dibatri 16 to just a metal Lana maybe Lana Yubicho Puegi 16 or SID.
Then Geshe read out the entirety of the first part to do with surpassable offerings, which are set forth in 2 stanzas. I offer these Buddhas and Bodhisattvas fabulous flowers, glorious garlands, symbols, scented balm, precious parasols, excellent butter lamps, and superb incense. I offer these Buddhas and Bodhisattvas sublime garments, supreme scents, sachets of fragrant powder equal to Mount Meru, and everything and every wonderful thing in a splendid array. And then Lama Tsongkhapa's commentary. Fabulous flowers are marvelous specimens of divine and human flowers. Glorious garlands are many different kinds of flowers strung together. Both together encompass every actual and imaginary flower. Symbols are the sounds of traditional instruments and the like. Scented balm is a mixture of fragrant perfumes. Precious parasols are the finest of parasols. Butter lamps are fragrant, radiant lights from things like incense or butter, as well as glowing jewel lights. Incense refers to combinations of fragrant substances and to single ones. Sublime garments are the finest of clothes. A supreme scent is water and the like, pervaded by a scent that fills the billion world systems with fragrance. The sachets of powder are packaged powders of fragrant incense, suitable for scattering and burning, or the colored sand powder of a mandala in multiple layers as wide and high as Mount Meru. Array joined at the end to all the above means a great quality, artfully and colorfully arranged.
Ana denegi chopuye ge zedi ge pa changi ge gor da ga yu chopuye zedi ge pa dalana zedi ye da denegi tisa medo damba chawa damba sa medo damba se di medo se di da ji mi nga ji mi li bi ge medo da ani ji ge la le yu bi medo ani denegi ya bo di ge se or medo dinane medo damba ni la da mi medo mi de ju bi ge silma nam so si do silma Simba Senang Judu Chine Pa Jesuatikila Sima Sura Denegi or Denegi that Dusune as Medo Puye, that Puye Medo de la Lay Medo Tang, and then as me Medo, Meduchin was Bear Yaputis or Yaputi, Ningbam, that Denegi member, Ning Saba, Sebo, Yapu, the Yelia, and Medo Sima Par, Shing to Loman Su Guashe. Guashe Medo Detikile, Medo Sima, Deniki, Nipuya Tikile, the Medo Tamba said this tile ko re chere. Tenwa che la wo res. Che sen tenwa wo che la wo xe. Lama me do de.
The first line of commentary, fabulous flowers are marvelous specimens of divine and human flowers. So it refers to all freshly picked and beautiful flowers that are from both the human and God worlds. So these are what are being offered. And so these refers to freshly picked flowers.
The Chanwa ni se medo damba. The Chanwa damba se de Chanwa se de medo ke Chanwa. Chanwa ni medo na so ben guba de se de zan Chanwa se medo ke Chanwa medo da ga bo da ma bo se bo de ba ba ji guba ta ba ba yu xin ne nga zu ge le ba da de ne ge da Chanwa sui xie bu xu ba an de so le medo Chanwa so medo Chanwa damba se de yan ning ji bo ze wo an sui ba an de ne damba se de ya wo gu lo wa de ne ge de le gu re je le medo damba Chanwa damba se.
And similarly with glorious garlands are many different kinds of flowers strung together. So here one can imagine garlands of single colors as well as garlands of multiple colors mixed together. Whatever one finds magnificent, this is what one offers.
Dine zada dine ma niga ngwe dang jema tamje do side da dine ge medo da medo ge sima da medo ge changwa di ge ya medo ngwe ne yin ba ngwe ne chi niga ng se medo changwa ngwe medo ngwe ne ge changwa sui sha ba da ne sima yo ba da sima se ng de ji ga le lama da dine phe de ga le medo du xin ba ji do ya yo ba dine ga zu ge ji ge medo phe du xin lu xin phe yo ba de medo ko sima ro de ngwe medo ngwe ne yo ngure jema si da medo ge sui ngwe ne la membe da medo sui ne sui be ge medo de ta dia sa di ro mi gi medo de ni sui she de ne jema de ne ge da jemi ge medo da ane sima da changwa ane medo ngwe ne medo changwa da sima de ne lei medo da ane nga zu ge mi li be medo la li be medo la da mi medo cha san le gu gu re che其实居民没多少学习背的话，那地没多少的的，水个水个没多，雨个水个没多，你个用过的居民没多是呢，没多我也是没多，我你们不学习个没多的。
Lama Tsongkhapa continues. Both together encompass every actual and imaginary flower. So the actual flowers then refers to those of the human and God realms, and arranged either as bouquets of picked flowers, or as garlands, or as petals of flowers. So, for example, when a Lama comes, one may scatter petals, or one may put petals within the 7 offering bowls. One may put petals in the one representing flowers. So, when it refers to actual, then it refers to actual flowers of the human and God realms, and imaginary flowers. So this we could include the modern plastic flowers in there. So both together encompass actual and imaginary flowers.
Da silien namda juba duksho da silien se da romo di ge da zu zheme cha benanga zu ge ji ge romo zho ya da ane ji gilin da ya ane ji jamye zho ya da de ne ge romi rig mong wo ro ba o je so da lei da ji ge mi romo da pi lei romo de de cho romi ge rig de cho pye de ge romo de silien ni romi ge gyun jan lo so ba zhao se de ne romo zho be ge zha chun ya ge di pu ya de se ro da da so yun sin na da du ra sa ve pu chu ro ba de romo ro ba de ne du ra sa ve romo ya de cho pu ya le ya pu chu ro ba de bene de ne ki ni ma ne di toya yorwa dung da yorwa ane di da duwa de ni ma che pu le de ne ki da ma ngo da myan da ya da de ne da ma ngo ro de so di yor de ma dia ka ma.
And Lama Tsongkhapa continues, symbols are the sounds of traditional instruments and the like. Cymbals we know is one type of instrument, but it refers to all the other traditional instruments that we're used to. But one shouldn't feel restricted to only offering traditional instruments. One can offer modern instruments as well, and offer the type of instruments that are used both by humans and gods.
Then, 지금 천식이 자 현황에 자로 디소자 쳐프네 다다 책고 말해. 근데 맴다게 땅에 자다 디죠 되게 자데 말 지나다가 저기 비용하다 아니 로마다 되는 거 저기 여러 가지 디소 좀 제로와.
But one doesn't offer all sources of sound. For example, the sound of weapons being used. That makes a sound, but that is not what one offers. Rather, one offers the instruments, both traditional and modern, used by humans and gods.
지나다가서 돈나라 지금 로마 가르타네 밀리아 지금 가기 제비갑래 로마 가르타네 디타비게 셈레야 갈라라 소투야 중국식 지금으로 아디샤산 푸쇼거래 나 지금 자데 저데 밀리아 또 셈레야 마디시 쟁암다 용하다 현나용하게 제직디 다 주어프네 엔디고마다 다가지디 부모여 바로 차거래.
The guidance in terms of what sources of sound one offers is really as simple as this. Whatever types of sound brings joy to the mind, this is what one offers. The sources of sound that does not bring joy to the mind, these are not offered.
Juba said Jubani Pui Shimbigi Degu said that Zuge Deniki Puigi Rikti Deniki Dimashimbuya Juya Yobat or Deniki Rikti Puya Delia Juba or Jubani Push Shimbigi Degu was.
Scented balm is a mixture of fragrant perfumes. So we should understand this being as a mixture, meaning a wide variety of different fragrant perfumes. And parasols, these we see when His Holiness is teaching, that before him someone is carrying a parasol.
다 말메니 서 말메니 뿌마라서 비 지심발라서 지심로 외사와당 세 근데 림보체 외살와오 세데 제 말메세 되는 저게 나도 두초 말메세 돼 된가 말 지금 말다 되네기 토네 안 수시비 말 진짜 dimaya 보여 되게 되네 빨리 웨이팅딩 제 여바도 외사 보여 되게 네 안되네게 멤버야 림보체다 되네기 리기 왜 되게라다 외사와 되게라 지치게 부야기 되데 마음에 살 때는 시고고리에 사실 다 되네기 인자다 대상아 지금 로기 저기 마음에 부야디 왜 되게야 다 마음에 공을 봐 두시네 샤슈고로 와지나 지나는 미는 말면서는 말게 수시비 매 빠드는 웨이팅이 되네 두치네 지송으로 디나시다 델라소비 림보체다 리다 되네게다 로고 외라서 봐 되네게 외하고 부야디게 다 지금 부야디를 말면서야지 되네 고그래서
Lama Tsongkhapa continues. Butter lamps are fragrant, radiant lights. So the butter lamps, these we know, these days they're made from wax, but traditionally they're made from butter, and that butter itself has an aroma. So here one imagines it's pure butter, and the aroma is pleasant. And butter lamps are fragrant, radiant lights from things like incense or butter, as well as glowing jewel lights. And of course, in modern times, we offer from electric lights too. So this too we can include here.
지난 딩함 되게 마음 매치 바데 디네 디망함바다 디망함바디 셈 마기워서 수볼은 뇌베디딘 이네다지 디고메서레 지난 디네자 디심바 외사와 세디 디심바 마녀바 루셈나 마녀바 네 디게 데니시고리에서지 지사데 디니기 마다 뿌이 말 규지틴 쇠시게 아마 좀 춤푸야 쇠셔로 봐데 다 마님네 제제 다베네 아니 제제 마다베네 디네고 보여서는 말 피처면 매발에 로디에 말요 말와 디나시 매발에 간실레 외수에게 매발이 외팅디서에게 직직티 신고로 와다.
Remaining with the butter lamps. Fragrant, radiant lights from things like incense or butter. So when the lamp could be from burning incense, it could be from butter that on its own that's fragrant, or mixed with incense and so forth. But what should really be understood from the understanding of being fragrant is that the aroma is something that people find pleasant and certainly doesn't harm.
두번이 두배 자와당 나치바오 세대 당아지 뿌에 남용 뿌에 뿌야디 시고라 제산 신 되네게 지가 쇠지 파 쇠비게다 내내게 팀을 야고 예바 내내게 디디 파 누면네 샘려야 대랑라 제다 아니 루스 류라 미녀바 아니 지 펜바 야고 예되게 내내게 디디게 뿌야들이야 뿌에 뿌야들라 두바니 두배 자와다 나치바세 당아 저기 강선에 제다마를 제신 수요 제용으로와 뒤 수면의 신고로나리아 양지기 디마야 고이 메타 부여줘로와 디바 어디네기 자와다 나치바세.
In concluding with, incense refers to combinations of fragrant substances and to single ones. So the incense made from traditionally from solely natural ingredients, then these may or may not be combined. So either single, just of one type, or combined. And again, the main thing is that the fragrance is something that is both pleasant and not at all harmful.
세상은 저기 보여도와 뇌 저로와 뇌 보여줘. 디소 신잠바로와 신잠바 저 안딜이야 보여게 dimba야고야 제대로스만 내면 잡지 되는 수요요. 디 자유 보여줘. 자와서 멍뭐 제마 둠도 수 자든 수요로와. 제나지바지 맞아와지 전내 신다 되는 신고를 dimba야고 디 신고랑 고 메다 담베네 dimba야고 저로와. 어디 그 수요스가마 코라신 기는 dimba야로와. 지상 코랑게 대시디게 요마다보다 신 dimame 신 잠바 먹고게 마 수연들이야 dim야고요 또 제제다지 수연에 진짜고 지서와.
So some incense are made from combining a number of substances, some of which will be from trees and bushes, but also may combine oils and so forth. So this would refer to a combination of fragrant substances, and single ones refers to the fragrance of incense made from a single tree or single bush that is not mixed with anything.
다 되네게 보여줘. 되네가르전 둘로부에 남세부에 나사 담바 남나 고유 초서데 나사 담바니 나사 담바 남나 지초다라와 나사 담바라디 단 둘로야고 다 저게 닝 제고 베네 규제되게 야고 임바 닝 제고 안에 저게 장마 안에 제 어두시네 이제 다대 고여들 양아 좀미 고여 야고다 안에 레유 고여다 미다 레유 고여되게 야푸에들라 나사 said Nazadam Puyadilla, the Nasa Sigor Puyadil. Nasa said, Guedam, Guel, Guguri, Tamba, Nazadamban, Tishon, Gues, Nazadamban, Gues, Chopos. Tishoni, Donsumdo, Jingia David, Jiu, Guebig, Chulao, Sobo was it that Tishos said Jichu, Nanganzuke, Chui, Imbachil, Tipe, Yakuban, Chichuya, Shungro, Adiso, Denegi, and Puyadiki said.
Sublime garments are the finest of clothes. This then refers to offering the very finest of clothing from the human and God realms. And these we would know would be beautiful to see. They would be made of the finest fabrics, excellent quality, and completely clean. And in the second sentence, a supreme scent is water and the like, pervaded by a scent that fills the billion world systems with fragrance.
That Chemapuani. The Buddhist, Chema said the Chema Pua, Purmani, Bui, Jishimbo, Chema said that Shin Bui, the Pat Dungchin, Pat Zambanashi, Zambanashi, Dipa, Meta Dana, Pune, Timayuti, and Pajik, Meta Moj Dusin, 직도 샤베네 디마야고 여딩인데 시그로데 제산데 체마체 체마 품마세디 부신비 체마당 도신 두두runwa tum불 제발라네 데니게 잠바디 파 진뇌제 루제 파 도도도서의 tum보스 데니게 체마 품마 르럽스데 데니게 다두진 준데 파 봉진 파 르럽나진 베 첨부슈 제데 봉진 파 부야딜야 체마 품마 르럽 냠바당 세아디시우다.
Lama Tsongkhapa continues, the sachets of powder are packaged of powders of fragrant incense suitable for scattering and burning. So again, this can be many different kinds of natural incenses, or there can be single kinds. And then the Tibetan goes on, arranged in multiple layers as wide and as high as Mount Meru.
Then Jigo Dibig, Chen Che, Baby, Rimba, Yada, Nam, Rebda Nyambo, so the dinning Jingo Dibi Gabriana, this is somebody Jeta, Duchine, Bejeta, Chobeg, Rimba, Yada, Namba City, Be Rebnazins, but Jachembo, Pa Nambas and Toes or the Zis by Rebnazin to Sinyamaji Puya Delta, this year. That Guibi said, Guibi Keba Papa, Chogan Yi, said, Guiba said, Pashamna, Puda, Guiba Ticasore, this or the Chasala de Ji, Mother Meadow Puya de Meadow Guiba Yabu, and Jubata Chasal Pajaya Resin, Guiba ni Gomo Gunye Tar, Jao, Jarde Esa, Jebadang, Nasopala Jaos, Chisan Guiba Sadi, Dusinica Ninji, what the Chasan, the Jarchu Resin.
And sachets of powder also refers to the colored sand powder of a mandala, and this too is arranged in multiple layers as wide and as high as Mount Meru. And the final term Lama Tsongkhapa clarifies is that of array, joined at the end to all the above, means a great quantity, artfully and colorfully arranged. So as it's written here, then this describes that the offering that is being made is extremely beautiful and pleasing to behold.
And that is a Lada Milu that Chebeke, that Lada, Lasidi, Dayan, Inia, and the Chidan, Chitin Belha says, or the nigger Chitin Belhada Milu, that Chebeke, then the Medodan, a Chipuedan, the Soya Puya Dikilia, Duchin Chupuya Dice, Lana Yuba Chupatia, that Dilia Yaga. And the Yakshud Marwa in Lana Yucheva. That in Ma Shuede, that Lana maybe Cheva Puedi Shuere.
That concludes looking at those offerings which are surpassable. So these are of the human and God realms. In particular, one would understand the desire, referring to the desire realm gods. So these being surpassable, whilst there may be the very best that we can offer, there are offerings that do surpass these, that are greater than these.
Lana maybe Cheba said that city did Lana maybe Mebani, Cheba Lana Mebani, Cheba Ganam Shesuki 60 days, Cheba Ganamlame, and Yashawa, Dedal, Tamje Yawalayam, Sambo Jella, Dr. Yawaguna Shaso Cheba, said 60 Ligore, that 60 Chisanda Dunda de March, Lana Yubani, Lana Yubani, Jitimbe Cheba in Bechizan, Lana Yuba said the Jitimbe Cheba, that Jitimbe de Jikan Shiatikua, Imbe, Dirini, Janju Semba, that Lana maybe Cheba said, Taditi, Cheba said, Dirini, Janju Semba, Sopa, two Cheba Namki, one Sangutuba said.
The text continues, unsurpassable offerings are set forth in the stanza. May all those unsurpassable and vast offerings appear before all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Through the power of faith, along with virtuous deeds, I pay homage and make offerings to all the conquerors. Surpassable offerings are those of worldly beings. This here is everything good and emanated by powerful beings such as Bodhisattvas.
Lana maybe Chebi Zeding Wilson Gorwa, Jisa, Lana maybe Cheba said the Dini Janju Semba Soba, Tuchewa Namgi, Sangu Juba, said the Janju Semba Papa, Janju Semba Papa, Desugi and the things in Nubu Topki Drupigeda, Denegi, that Chebi Puyo, Zebato Mebaticalia, and the Lana maybe Chevas, Danganzugi, Chitin Razuna, that Semgelia, and Chopuyagi, Sangela Chopuyagi, and the Yuji, the Machuzi, Dilelawaji Mevanza, and the Lana maybe Chevas.
The first line of the verse, may all these unsurpassable and vast offerings. So unsurpassable, again, it means there's nothing greater than this. And these unsurpassable offerings are generated through the incredible concentration of bodhisattvas.
Chesna Denigi Passam Shinde Kawai Yunden, Dinging your duty, Passam Shin, Delia, Metoda, Pato Meba, and the Tibuta, Simgelia, Manzulu Kuegi, Gang Kubaine, Chik Yudi Chasan Yudi in Denigi, Cheba Zediki, Puya together, Lana maybe Cheba Dinganzuki, Jitimbal, Jitim Bigeda, Koaba, Hada Mila Yomarwa, Hala Yomar Mila Yome, the Nezadi, Dushan Teso. Puyada, Dimen Bigeda, Janshu Sembiki, Drupigeda, Dinging the Drudy Bigeda, Madodang, and the Jigit Dishi, Roma Tanya La Sobata, Deniki, Jiki, Nasobash Batumeva, Yovara, Deniki Puyadigilia, Lana maybe Chivari, Puy, Zediki did it said, and Dinashim, Janshu Sembi Drubi, Janshu Sembadam Yokombe, that Puyagit said, and the Jiki Garsore. 동방이 또 베시랍 띵에서 그 베띵이제 시라 잠니지 장주 셈 공백의 셈 되게 차상 안 최고 부에게 제 자그로와 부에게 언두시네 디솔라나 메베 부에게 당한지 지템발 지템 코어발에 메디겐지 안지 최베 제인자 라나 메베 최바세지 어두기 잠니제 장주 셈다 안데 내게 냠내기 짐바 부에게 제들라다 지금 나소용으로 와 되네게
These unsurpassable and vast offerings. So we need to call these to mind, or at least have an understanding of what it refers to. Here we can recall to the Lama Chopa, the Guru Puja, at the beginning when one is establishing a visualization, there is a wish-fulfilling tree that one establishes. So this is included within the unsurpassable offerings, something that has been generated due to the incredible concentration of bodhisattvas, and the trees with all its beautiful flowers and fruits and so forth, so as described in the Lama Chopa practice. But in addition to something like that, which is beyond what us beings in the desire realm can encounter, also the incredible qualities of the bodhisattva's mind, these too are offered. Their love, their great compassion, their bodhicitta, the 6 perfections of generosity and so forth. These incredible qualities of the bodhisattva, of the bodhisattva's mind, these too are offered and are included within unsurpassable offerings.
Dinegi da choba kana la me yache wasin dinegi la na me choba be yache bushu ji dinegi samdadi puyege zedigi de da puyse de sul pugore sene andeji sangye 바토메 버주시 베게데 부에게 유 대설이야 부고 겨와디다 탐제 라야메 시디 겨와디다 대신 아주 류유권에서 나하고는 차이가 불어요 지금 윤라야 상계다 디코션스 바토메 유베 지 뭐바치야 저러와 부에서 유디 컨트롤 부고래서라 겨와디다 탐제 라야메 지 대다교 구성 투숨기 윤데 데라 데바 지주 템베 토네 안델야 푸고리 사이 푸여데 제사다라 상보 대푸다데 간스 푸고르선 다 대지간 저게 대지라나 유비게 쳐바 메도다 레다미 셰제 푼소 제 메도다 두벨라서 바도메 제 바도메 바치 두시 삼다 달라나 메비게 안에 장주셈바 파바남 유튜브에 두비베게다 데니게 제 푸여게 제 바도메 바 삼다 데스체 디 푸여게 제디게 방월스 다 데네야 Yawa Dida Tamja, Sambojala debut Topdagi, Yawa Gula Chasa Chobergi City, Chinadadi, Pritandi Ma, Digi Lana Yubita, Zeda, Lana Mibe Zedi, Pritandi Sungore, Chida Sambojala debut Topdagi City, Dejigas, Yawa Tamja Tam, Jiga Sanjay, Tiniki, Deji, and the Chatsi Gabla, you said Tapshaki. Chojikiawa Setan Chepa Dele Digi and Sambojela debut, Dedagu Kusun to you Indian part, Denje, Sambojeba said, Shehelia, Pemba, Jamninja, Janju Sem, Pajin to Yamlin, Denigi, and Lunga Juba Shella Pembigo, that Sanje, that Janju Sembatambi, Denigi, Juba Pachi, Janji, Delia, Debatit, Dina Shijingia, Topper Show, Sembigi, the Molam. Debata mon debut top chimboki, di tobligan, monacasat, dumba, monam top chimboki, tone, and this ja, and Yawatita Tamjel Pugores, Yawagunla Chasal, Chebergi is and Nichub Pugores.
And the verse continues. For this, in the second line, appear before the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So this is to whom the offering is being made, and this is the same as the visualization that has already been established. On every atom there's a Buddha in their pure land surrounded by a host of Bodhisattvas. So this is, the second line is to whom the offering is being made. The first line is what is being offered. And then the third line is the way the offering is made. So the intent or the mind of the person making the offering through the power of faith along with virtuous deeds. So that may perhaps through the power of faith in virtuous deeds, because this refers to the incredible virtuous deeds of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And this was something we saw in the previous verse, the first to do with physical prostration, the term good conduct. Here it's been translated as virtuous deeds. So this refers to all the incredible qualities that of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, body, speech, and mind, that is being expressed in their varying good deeds, I think is how we had, or virtuous deeds, is being expressed in their varying virtuous deeds. Now this is made with sincere faith that has come about in reflection, independence on one's prior reflections.
And then the Shivadina Chigwari, the Chevupi, Chasiki, said that you tell a Chevupi Dirwamado, Chapu Yuda, in a Chevupi Yudikayo, Tibetan. The He and Zugi Chapu Gala, and said that the Gala Karasata, Rangi Julia, and Dugi Jana Yambedi, and Sanji. Di Sanjay di College, changes a bottom of 2 years and big was a member chedi, the Dagaram Je, Dene, Yuche, Yawa Tamje said, Tamje. That's some what Chebe, Debe, Doctor said, the she, and the you can a chapu couple, the Nigi, and the Chige, Sanjay that is about you Kusun to you and then some way Chebe, and then the part. Jenje debates do Jenje, the nigger Tomnas and big do some daddy, the ye chadro and dice. Now, the nigger desert previous that dig of Chopuaka some daddy, that deji Kunung, because you said the big chubu you chipache, chas you the chipache, you go ne chas again and you kunodia that they are chopu you kunodia chipache. That donala. Jin Kabar Carson, the niggy ze bottom meba, Ladami ze, and the Jidingi ze, that Jidin deba, Papanum ye chodu ze bottom meba, Dusin Puyus and became meba chin Puyadida, and Puyadidirua, Chisada Puyagi Yuda, and Punwantida, the Jingaji Puyu Kabla, Lugi Pudi Kabla, and the Ludige, the Shevanashi, Lu bottom meba, Dusin, the Nick Puyu Samba, and do Shevaina, and the Dusin Puya de Chagorova. Chingaokun Lara de Chasa, Cheva Pusin, Jisan Puya Yudi Gawakun Chasala Puya, Gawakun City Gawada, Di Korajaju Samba, Chasala Guna, Chasa and Puya, Dindi Chasa, when Puyans, Chevergis.
The verse concludes with, I pay homage and make offerings to all the conquerors. So here in the second limb, that of offerings, those to whom we make the offerings is the same as we imagined for prostrations. So it's all the Buddhas surrounded by bodhisattvas. So what one imagines to whom one offered prostrations to and now makes offerings to, is the same. And what is also the same is one makes offerings with the same attitude as when one offers prostrations, which is having recalled the great qualities of body, speech, and mind of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, one makes prostrations or offerings out of deep reverence for their qualities, wanting to generate merit so that one too can give rise to these same good qualities oneself to be of greatest benefit to all beings. So this too is the same for prostrations and for offerings. What differs is in this particular instance, this is the verse of unsurpassable offerings. So here, what is offered, that is different. These are the particular remarkable offerings that bodhisattvas do make. And we spoke about the wish-fulfilling tree, as well as the qualities within their minds. This is here what is being offered. So that is the particular or unique aspect of this particular verse, the offering of unsurpassable offerings.
Adandala chopu yu la sulupu goresne choju jawaseta jeba tamjela pu chopu yu dishe. The puye zedi garasne hadami ane chigi chube ze batu me bata medola soba ze batu me bata ane janjisemba papa namgi ane je dingi zin tu dingi gewa da dingi zin la tu juju pege denege ze batu me puye zedi di puye yinsa da ane puye zedi yins puye yu di che puye zedi che da puye la kanes puye kunlo la kanes chigres du jesa kunlo le puye kunlo la denegi yu sangye da juju semba tan ju sangbo jebi kusong tusu yunde ti pa deba 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 zechidu ge denegi deba zechidu ge ne debige denegi yunde de yenge de ya de toba sho sebi mombe denegi top ge che toba dumba ge che ane ya ane puyo sachi puyo sachi denegi da ganje le cheba puyo yu chebi puye chebe ze chebe puye ane kunlong puyang dushine shu sungorda na yingbo di zhuwa puyang kunlong chebe puye kunlong de chebe puye le kunlong ga de ne kunlong sam de ne puyang sin da lu yi go ne dushine puyang de wa da ku jepchine puyang ne puyang se ro da de puye de wa da Then
Lu ngaki sum pugi yores.
Tanga said yi the gunot that the puya de haska mata de puya. Nagi kisha mata de.
So just to summarize the topic here of making offerings. Those to whom the offerings are made is the same as those to whom the prostrations were offered, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that one has visualized. And one actually started that visualization earlier, even prior to coming to the seven limb practice. But in the context then of offerings, there are two types of offerings, the surpassable and unsurpassable. The surpassable included all the varying types of flowers of humans and gods, and the clothing of great quality of humans and gods, and so forth. And then the unsurpassable offerings, which through the remarkable concentration of bodhisattvas, these can be made. So that's then what is offered. And then the motivation is that, just like with prostrations, through having a deep and sincere faith in the excellent qualities of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, which has come about through one's own prior study and reflection, one has, through one's deep faith in their qualities of body, speech, and mind, which are the independence on one's sincere faith in the qualities of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, which are expressed, those mental qualities which are expressed through their physical behavior and their speech. One offers previously prostration. Here, one makes offerings out of faith and with the aspiration to generate those same good qualities oneself, to create the merit here, to aid one's ongoing spiritual development, one's later meditation, which will help bring about these good qualities within oneself. So that's the mental component of making offerings. The physical component is would you do the hand gesture of making offerings.
Susuki give zawa sa susuki sosuya yubi longju medo da dinigi ze da buye da dinigi yunchala soba da chu da dinigi ze bado meba yuba da undi susuki da susuki da gewa sa shibi gewi jawa digi susuki dinigi chasan ya an jiga ya puye ge samda chi puye bada adonda la nganzuki dinigi samda chi lo jangdi kabla dinigi samda dine lo jangor wada dukshin puye se meba chi de jesa da nganzuki 제 din에 빠도면 받아 소수기 지금 롱주에다 제 소수기 40배 계획 자와 천재야 부위에 선배기 din에 부위 매바지도 소설이야 부위에 동에 선바 장고로 받아 장로고 다들 진비 냠는 두고래 되라 진비 냠는서는 동에 선바와 제가 시행이야 마 제바다 시에서마 시에서 주변에 야 제바도 부위하시고로 제가 내니게 동에 선바 부위와 Denigeda, Denigito, Denichi, Lami, Kusun to Yundin, Janji, Della, Zijido, Sembe, some died, and Dingis in Pachang to Joya. And Delia, Denigi Puyalia, Kashing and Drushing one, Denigi, some that bear, Kawuchin, Kashing and Drushing on the Pubicola, Junji and Yamden Chando Ruore. And Denigi, Jigga, Ma, Yamlenchi, the some that Jinikalela, Masembachi, Chicale, Mazam, Dinis Puyand, Pay Yabura, some Jedushin, some Dan Yamlenchi, Kabla, and they jig Chelang and Sing Sheva, Situ Chinik, Yamlen Chevalia, Chisubi Yamlen Sets to Borba, Dinis that did, Dushin some night on Zugi, then Jimbe Yamling Mosu, that in the Chopig, some data, Charts out and Chopig, the Sungur. Dönleya Jimbe Yamle Ligore, Subi Yamle Ligore, Jundu Yamle Litugore, Delia and the things in Pachang to Joya Dugore, Chisandu Shidi, Dinigi Yamlen Chichidu, Chimangu Chilia, Jangdurium Durum to Chile to Yungorwa, the names that they answer to some Davena.
When one makes offerings, then you'll have your shrine already set up, and on there will be particular things that one's offering. At the very least, one will generally have water bowls. One may well also have food and flowers and so forth as one chooses. So there are actual things set out to offer. And then one, of course, engages in the practice with on the level of imagination too. And then one also holds in mind that this is the mind being virtuous. One is creating merit, and this too then is offered. And how much virtue is accumulated is entirely dependent on one's motivation, one's state of mind. In that, if one is merely reading words, if one's mind is distracted, then the amount of virtue one accumulates is quite limited. On the other hand, if one has thought well about this practice and the reasons for doing it, so much more merit will be offered because one will be much more mentally engaged and engaged with minds of much more powerful virtue than if one is merely reciting words and getting this part of the practice completed. And furthermore, so that's one point to make, to encourage you to, when you do the practice, to do it with full mental engagement. And secondly then, engage this practice within the support of the practices of bodhisattvas within the six perfections. To the extent of one's meditation and to the extent of one's understanding of the Dharma topics and meditation, engage in this practice with an understanding of emptiness and dependence arising. Secondly, keep your mind as concentrated as one can, ideally free from distraction, and aid one's development of concentration. Take firm and definite delight in the practice, which will come about naturally when one has generated the prime motivation of bodhicitta and when one understands the purpose of engaging in prostrations and offerings, which is to create merit in order to develop the good qualities of bodhisattvas and eventually Buddhas within oneself. So therefore joyous perseverance will come about with ease. So too then will the practice of patience, because there are all too often hardships and difficulties, usually internal or often internal, when engaging in Dharma practice. But with joyous perseverance, as well as with the prior generation of bodhicitta, these can be quite skillfully dealt with. So in this way, one brings patience into one's practice. One's offerings will have been attained in an honest manner, and therefore ethical restraint is present too. And the practice of generosity itself, the practice of offerings itself, is an act of generosity. So in this way, when you engage in this practice, do so with an awareness, or do so with the support of all six perfections. Do so with sincerity, and do so also with the support of your motivation of bodhicitta. In this way, incredible amounts of virtue can be created, as opposed to a mere recitation of words. So for those who have their education and meditate on this, I'd encourage you, at a point such as this in the practice, to rest for a while or stop for a while and engage in the reflection on emptiness. In particular, in the context, or within the context of the emptiness of the three spheres. So one can think then that in terms of what has been offered, these substances, both those visualized and those actually present, or those imagined and those actually present, they appear to the mind in a particular way, but they do not exist in that way. Not only that, they have all come about in dependence on causes. Therefore, they do not exist in the way they appear. They are empty of existing in the way they appear. They are merely labeled by mind. So too, those to whom prostrations have just been offered, as well as those to whom offerings have just been made, the state of bodhicitta, the state of Buddhahood, comes about in dependence on causes. It does not exist inherently. And those beings who are bodhisattvas and Buddhas, they cannot be found to exist in the way they appear. They too are merely labeled by mind. And as for myself, the practitioner, the spiritual aspirant, I also do not exist in the way I appear to my mind. I'm empty of existing in the way that I appear to my mind, but I'm merely labeled by mind. And at this point, rest in the awareness of emptiness. And in this way, not only have you accumulated merit through prostrations and offerings, but you have also accumulated wisdom, engaged in the accumulation of wisdom through your meditation on emptiness. So we can conclude here for this morning. This afternoon we'll continue from the next limb, that of confession. But if you have some questions, then please feel free to ask. Then, Ruby?
This aspect of emanation, does it relate to the principle of karma of increase?
The principle of karma?
Like the ability to emanate, the mind to the body mind, the body mind to emanate, does it relate to the
the four characteristics of karma? One is that it multiplies.
Yes.
This, yeah? Okay.
Lelia that it did it made a lay setting answer that it Juba said it thing is in you to be Juba lay a sugar, I think it's in compared to get the new bit to Juba lay said down the Chida Cosemjus about you course it did it, Jamed.
So, no, these two don't have a relationship. The ability to emanate comes through the power of concentration. So this isn't related to that karma has the characteristic of multiplying. So these two are not related. Okay.
You can do about a share you by that, the thing is in compared to you may bacharo. Lay you to be tuba horan, Yama lesa, lay new bit to tuba, pene, to get Semjala Yungur, then the tuba to Yaro, which Nakatin Yungudi, things in compared to Yamare.
That karma has the capacity to multiply. This is not something restricted to those who have powerful concentration, but is the case for all karma. Therefore, those without concentration, so if one could emanate, or if one emanated due to the karma having the characteristic of multiplying, then ordinary beings, those without concentration, would be able to emanate, which is not the case.